Hey Al. Hey, how you all doing? I just wanted to get on here today and offer just some gifts and some wisdom and some simplicity and some reminders, some gentle heart reminders of the love that we are and the love that we can choose. That's our power of choice, and that's our power. Power of the heart, and the power of our will, and the power of our love. And so, yeah, I felt like waking up today and just kind of felt it was a weird kind of a day, and yeah, there was some strange full trickster full energies at play, and Cosmic Monkey seems to wants to play today, and so yeah, we'll just invite the Cosmic Monkey to play. Come on over and play. Let's play. And yeah, that's good reminders that we're in a play, we're here to play, and we're all playing at being something and playing at being that we fool ourselves. We get so convinced of our roles sometimes that we forget we're playing. So let's remember we get to play. We get to choose and we get to play. And yeah, we can choose anything we want, really. We do it all the time. Just sometimes we haven't been aware or conscious of what we are choosing or what we're playing at, what we're playing into, how we're being played, and how we're playing. And so, yeah, I just wanted to help uh, remind those of you who, yeah, would like to be reminded of those simple truths. So, what wants to be shared today? So, yeah, I've been resting a lot this January so far. It's the 11th day. It's 1/11/2021, so that's kind of fun. Yeah, just feeling extra tired lately. I think December held so much in it, and I did so much work in December. Now, like, the January came, and I got through 2020 and through the month of December, which held so much love in it, and so much potency in it. I really appreciate and acknowledge all that was given last year and in the last month of December, all that it held, and all that was given, all that was received and shared and created. Yeah, through those gifts of continuity and regeneration and play and participation. So now it's a time for integration and initiation and all of that continuity. And so we have a new moon coming up tomorrow in Capricorn, and it's a clean slate. If we choose, we can claim that clean slate, and we can start something new. So a new moon is a perfect time for going within and acknowledging the darkness, and the seeds within, the seeds that are planted in the darkness that grow up through and into the light. And so, what are we planting? What are we seeding? What are we fertilizing? What are we initiating? What are we being initiated into? What are we choosing? And what are we feeding? What are we nurturing? What are we focusing on? Inviting, igniting. Yeah, good questions to ask. So, I just did a little bit of writing this morning, and yeah, it's been slowing down on the writing for a little bit too as I've been resting and just reflecting, and yeah, just stepping back a little bit more, even to be silent and to kind of go within my own inner cave and my own inner heart and my heart womb, my cave, my bear cave, hibernating, yeah, and just regenerating, yeah, and taking care of my energy, feeling like, yeah, it's a good time to rest because I'll be called soon to work. So, um, yeah, so just enjoying some things and taking it easy. And this morning I wrote, In this well, all is well. So be well. January 11th, 2021, Moon Day. It's a new moon window of opportunity. The rainbow bridge, the 0 point, portals of potential and transformation, growth, change, and ascension. The sleepers awaken to remember, transform, and transfigure. Transcend, transcended. Remember, remember, awaken. Awakening to who and all we are. Awakening to who thou art. Awakening to all thou art. Awakening to all life is. Awakening to all we are. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death. I will face my fear. I will let it pass through me until only I remain. And that's just a quote taken from, one of my favorite books, I guess you could say, Dune. And there's variations of that quote. And it's always been one that stuck with me. Always remember it. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear. And I will let it pass through me until only I remain. And so, I guess with all the circus sideshows playing out right now, things seem to be heating up, or coming up to be seen, released, met, and healed, or fed, fueled, and burned in the fires of destruction and purification. What would be of most service to the integrity of the whole and humanity at this time? Love, compassion, gentle strength, truth, and wisdom offerings, light-hearted musings, and authentic creative expressions, songs, stories, prayers, words of divine truth and simple wisdom, remembrance, humility, faith, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. Love always. It feels like a day that the cosmic monkey is at play, or wants to be invited to play anyway. Tricksterful, asshole, short and long-term, goldfish attention spans, and conveniently assumed memories and beliefs. Trying to keep us spinning around the wheel of fortune and mental, emotional slavery and bondage, illusion of control, our self-made suffering. So let it all go and let it all be. Step back, recenter, surrender, suspend and witness. Forgive, meet, and release. Watch the gameplay unfolding. Resist the urge to get sucked in and carried away through self-righteous ideologies and controlled opposition. Choose the highest or widest perspective and remember the whole truth of our being love, being full, being whole, being free, being true, being one, being at peace, being one with me, we. Letting go, letting it go, let it go, let it all be. A gift, a lesson, and an opportunity to know thyself, to love thyself, to grow thyself, to be thyself, and to remember all we are. Lightly, tread lightly, live lightly, love lightly, be the light shining through this darkness that holds, frees, gives, receives, offers, shares all that she is. Love always. And so, I was just thinking about some things, contemplating and pondering some things about what is it that makes us cling so hard to our old beliefs sometimes, and our old identities, and our old stories, and the things that really don't serve us anymore. And some of the answers that came up for me was like, it's about pride sometimes, and vanity, and that self-righteousness, which I've been working with the last little while, at least for the last 2 years or so. And so that one has been like, a challenging one to work with. Self-righteousness and pride. And swallowing our pride. And knowing that it's okay to be wrong. And that that's how we learn. And that's part of our success, is our failures and making mistakes and making a mess. And so let's not have such an aversion to being wrong, or to feeling or seeming, or that just resistance of wrongness that we feel because of judgment and because of shame and because of being rejected, or feeling that pain of rejection and all of that. And so, yeah, well, I think a lot of our conflicts and a lot of our struggles, like, could be totally eliminated and dissolved if we were willing to let go of pride, and if we were willing to suspend judgment, if we were willing to let go of judgment and having judgments about judgments, and judgments about ourselves and judgments about others, judgments about the world, judgments about what we see, judgments about what we believe or what others believe, and all those like silly notions. And so, yeah, there's a lot to that, and it's different for all of us, but I'm sure we can all relate in certain ways about that. What I kind of just wrote down, because I was just, thinking about those things, was, judgment, pride, blame, self-righteousness, fear and hate, vanity, and defensiveness equal suffering. So making others wrong creates more wrongs than rights. What do you choose to experience? What do you want to experience? What are you choosing? What are you creating? What are you reinforcing, recycling, or regenerating? So, do we want to create more of the same? Well, then let's just keep doing what we're doing and keep blaming others and staying on the victim, judge, hamster wheel. You like those feels. There's a payoff of some kind if we do, and that's okay. It's just like, become aware of the payoffs, or become aware of, the small self, the little self, the ego self's need and its agendas to maintain a sense of control, or the illusion of control, and the illusion of being right. And so, there's a lot to be said for that. And, what makes us feel so wrong that we need to prove ourselves right, and we have this pride about being right too. It's very very silly, and sometimes like the most difficult to let go of. So it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be fooled. We've all been fooled. We've all fooled ourselves, and it's okay. It really is. Let's forgive ourselves. Let's forgive each other. Let's forgive all of it. Let's let go of all of it. Let's release all of it. Let's, free and meet and love and let go, release all of it, so that we do have a clean slate, and we can, now propagate something completely, totally new that is whole, and that is true, and that is, sourced from, the heart, from the true whole. We can if we so choose. So that's what I choose. That's what I'm willing to choose. So, it's just, I just wanted to offer some love and insights into some of these things, and into these things that I've been working with and seeing more clearly. And it is funny and interesting looking at the outside and looking at the inner world, looking at the outer world and the inner world. To make the whole coherent. And so I was just, looking at those things about judgment and pride and vanity and blame. Where and how do we get a payoff if we keep the blame game going? It's their fault because they're doing it wrong. Or we blame ourselves. I should have known better. I should have, and then we punish ourselves. Or we try and punish someone else. For our own mistakes, not taking our accountability. So are we willing to own our own shit and our own feelings and our own accountability and our own mistakes and our own ability to respond and to forgive and to let go and to create something new? Only we can choose that for ourselves and be willing to see that truth. So I encourage you, me, and we, all to look deeply into that and to ask, to be willing to see what we haven't been able to see about that in our own lives, in our own relationships, through our own choices, through our own ways of being. Yeah. Can we let go of the need to punish ourselves and each other for being wrong? And can we let go of our pride that keeps us in a bind? Like, yeah. And keeps us blind a lot of the time. Yeah. So a couple of interesting things that relate. Just picking up books earlier today, and it's just funny how, yeah, how what we focus on, like the energy, yeah, continues, and it gives us like what we're seeking and what we're asking for and what we're concentrating on and what we're like giving our energy to. It comes back to us. And it's funny in the ways that it does. So like masterfully and yeah, and just funny in funny ways, like the Joker and the trickster and the fool at play. So I was earlier flipping through some books just that caught my attention, and one of them I opened Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald G. Jampolsky, MD. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but I just flipped it open, and I think it was like to page 7. And it says, it's actually page 12. As we look inward, we also become aware of an inner intuitive voice which provides a reliable source for guidance. When the physical senses are hushed and we begin to listen to that inner voice and surrender to it, we notice that moments of true healing and growth occur. In this silence, where the conflict of personalities has ceased to interest us, we can experience the joy of peace in our lives. Although we want to experience peace, most of us are still seeking something else that we never find. We are still trying to control and predict, and therefore we feel isolated, disconnected, separate, alone, fragmented, unloved, and unlovable. We never seem to get enough of what we think we want, and our satisfactions are highly transitory. Even with those people who are close to us, we often have love-hate relationships. These are relationships in which we feel a need to get something from someone else. When the need is fulfilled, we love them. When the need is not fulfilled, we hate them. Many of us are finding that even after obtaining all the things we thought we wanted in terms of job, home, family, money, there is still an emptiness inside. This phenomenon is called spiritual deprivation. Throughout the world, there is a growing recognition of the need to feel fulfillment within rather than to rely on the external symbols of success. When we have a desire to get something from another person or the world and we are not successful, the result is stress expressed in the form of frustration, depression, perceptions of pain, illness, and death. Most of us seriously want to get rid of the pain, the illness, and frustrations, but we still want to maintain our old self-concept. Perhaps that is why we are going in circles, because we rigidly hold on to our belief system. The world we see that seems so insane is the result of a belief system that is not working. To perceive the world differently, we must be willing to change our belief system, let the past slip away, expand our sense of now, and dissolve the fear in our minds. This changed perception leads to the recognition that we are not separate but have always been joined. There are many valid pathways that lead to transformation and inner peace. This small book is written as a primer for those of us who are motivated to experience a personal transformation towards a life of giving and love and away from a life of getting and fear. In brief, this is a book about self-fulfillment through giving. The words and drawings present practical applications of the steps for transformation to everyday situations that all of us face. It is intended to help us remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, our true reality, so that we may experience the miracles of love in our lives. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Inner peace can be reached only when we practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is the vehicle for changing our perceptions and letting go of our fears, condemning judgments, and grievances. We need to remind ourselves constantly that love is the only reality there is. Anything we perceive that does not mirror love is a misperception. Forgiveness then becomes the means for correcting our misperceptions. It allows us to see only the love in others and ourselves and nothing else. Through selective forgetting, through taking off the tinted glasses that superimpose the fearful past upon the present, we can begin to know that the truth of love is forever present, and that by perceiving only love, we can experience happiness. Forgiveness then becomes a process of letting go and overlooking whatever we thought other people may have done to us or whatever we may think we have done to them. When we cherish grievances, we allow our mind to be fed by fear, and we become imprisoned by these distortions. When we see our only function as forgiveness and are willing to practice it consistently by directing our minds to be forgiving, we will find ourselves released and set free. Forgiveness corrects the misperceptions that we are separate from each other and allows us to experience a sense of unity and at one-ment with each other. Forgiveness as defined here is different from the way most of us have been trained to understand it. Forgiveness does not mean assuming a position of superiority and putting up with or tolerating behavior in another person that we do not like. Forgiveness means correcting our misperception that the other person harmed us. The unforgiving mind, contrasted with the forgiving mind, is confused, afraid, and full of fear. It is certain of the interpretation it places on its perceptions of others. It is certain of the justification of its anger and the correctness of its condemning judgment. The unforgiving mind rigidly sees the past and future as the same and is resistant to change. It does not want the future to be different from the past. The unforgiving mind sees itself as innocent and others as guilty. It thrives on conflict and on being right, and it sees inner peace as its enemy. It perceives everything as separate. So whenever I see someone else as guilty, I am reinforcing my own sense of guilt and unworthiness. I cannot forgive myself unless I am willing to forgive others. It does not matter what I think anyone has done to me in the past or what I think I may have done. Only through forgiveness can my release from guilt and fear be complete. I am not the victim of the world I see. Have you noticed how often you feel that you are a victim of the world in which you live? Because most of us perceive many aspects of our surroundings as insane, we are tempted to feel helplessly caught in a trap. When we allow ourselves to think we are living in an unfriendly environment where we must fear being hurt or victimized, we can only suffer. To be consistent in achieving inner peace, we must perceive a world where everyone is innocent. What happens when we choose to see others as free from guilt? How can we begin to look at them differently? To begin with, we might have to look on everything in the past as irrelevant except the love we have experienced. We could choose to see the world through the window of love rather than the window of fear. That would mean we would then selectively choose to see the beauty and the love in the world, people's strengths rather than their weaknesses. So, yeah, I like that. I do feel like, though, there is like always discernment, and yeah, there is that intuition, that powerful inner voice that can help us with that differentiation and discrimination. Because yeah, I do agree that it all comes down to what we believe and what we see. But also, let's not discount the voice of our intuition, our own inner voice, and what our own heart and what our own body tells us. So let's trust ourselves and let's trust our intuition and, yeah, the gifts that we've been given to refine our skills of discernment. And yeah, let's be willing to forgive. Let's be willing to forgive ourselves and be willing to forgive each other and be willing to forgive the heartache and the hurting that we have felt and that we have suffered. And yeah, what can we do with it? Has it made us more compassionate? Has it made us more empathetic? Has it made us, more understanding that we all go through these changes and these transformations, and we all, experience grief and anger and suffering in our own ways, like we have all suffered. And yeah, I think sometimes we believe that we need to suffer to be worthy, and sometimes we believe that we need to make someone else wrong so that we can justify our anger about our own suffering. But that just keeps it in motion, that just keeps it going, that keeps it fueled and fed, you know. And so what if we were to, yeah, instead nourish the love inside of us instead of fueling like that hate or that fear or that judgment or that condemnation, through, like, you know, being self-righteous or like holding on to our pride. And so, yeah, I just wanted to offer those things for contemplation. Like, where can we let go of our own pride? And where can we let go of, like, our need to be right? Would we rather be free, or would we rather be right? Would we rather be at peace? Or, yeah, do we need to be seen as right? And so, yeah, that's what I've been looking at. And I'd rather be free. Yeah. And let it all be like what it is and what it gets to be. So, yeah, for today, I wrote down some questions. What are we willing to let go of? What are you willing to let go of? What are we willing to face? What are you willing to face? What are we willing to forgive? What are you willing to forgive? What are we willing to release? What are you willing to release? What are we willing to thank, bless, acknowledge, praise, and celebrate? What are you willing to praise, bless, acknowledge, thank, and celebrate? What are we willing to change? What are you willing to change? What are we willing to invite and receive? What are you willing to invite and receive? What are we willing to become more aware of? What are you willing to become more aware of? What are we willing to love and free fully? What are you willing to love and free fully? What are you willing to serve, protect, and honor? What are we willing to serve, protect, and honor? What are you willing to show up for more fully? What are you willing to be? Who are we willing to be? What are you becoming? What are we becoming? What are we willing to let go of? What are you willing to let go of? What is now coming into being? What is available now to receive? What are you willing to choose to embody? What are we willing to choose to embody? What are we creating? What are we choosing? Yeah. So, some good questions. Good questions to think about. And so, yeah, the next book that I picked up today, and it was very awesome, synchronistic. And I opened to Letting Go, and the chapter I opened to was chapter 9. It's pride. All about the pride. Pride and vanity. Yeah. And I just, yeah, this is pretty funny. And I thought, like, those with a sense of humor would appreciate. Those of you who think you know everything are annoying to those of us who do. That's just something that I had since I was a teenager. And yeah. I found it a couple weeks ago in my bin of old keepsakes. And yeah, kind of laugh at myself. Those of you who think you know everything are annoying to those of us who do. And isn't that true? Because once we think we know everything, like, yeah, there's no room for anything else sometimes. And yeah, I was just reading something about that, like about the beginner's mind. Yeah, and because we're willing to change our own minds, we know that we don't know everything. And so, yeah, let's remember that. Let's remember that. We may know, like, a good amount of things, some helpful things, some worthwhile things, some trivial things, some random things that maybe would come in handy at some point for playing some kind of trivia game or whatnot. But yeah, can we surrender and suspend what we think we know so that we can, yeah, embrace the unknown, the hanged man, and also like bat medicine there too, the shaman's death. That's like, yeah, letting it all go and letting it all be so that there's room for that divine inspiration and guidance to come through. Yeah, for the answers within. Um, yeah, for the truth to be known. And so, yeah. So today is a good day to let go and trust that it's okay not to know. Letting go, letting go. I observe letting go. So I just wanted to share like a little bit about pride and see where this goes. That like the whole chapter was great. Actually, I didn't plan on like reading the whole chapter, but I just kind of was mesmerized by like what was being offered and like super appreciate and acknowledge what was given through the gift of intuition and following what I'm drawn to and inviting the things that I want to draw into my life, inviting them into my fields, into my field of play and creative energy to be with me. So it's a part of me. And just inviting that into my field of energy to become aware and access and receive its availability. So, Chapter 9, Pride. In common parlance, pride is often thought to be a good thing. However, if we take a good look at it, we will see that just like all the other negative feelings we have discussed so far, pride is devoid of love. Consequently, it is essentially destructive. Pride may take the form of overvaluation, denial, playing the martyr, being opinionated, arrogant, boastful, inflated, one-up, haughty, holier than thou, vain, self-centered, complacent, aloof, smug, snobbish, prejudiced, bigoted, pious, contemptuous, selfish, unforgiving, spoiled, rigid, patronizing, judgmental, and in milder forms, pigeonholing. Intellectual pride leads to ignorance, and spiritual pride is the main block to spiritual development and maturation in everyone. Religious pride by self-identification with the righteous and having only one true way. Having the only true way. Is the basis of all religious wars, rivalry, and dismal occurrences such as the Inquisition. The biggest downfall of all is religious pride and considering oneself entitled to kill others who don't share one's specific beliefs. In all of us, the pride-fulfilling, I have the answers, blocks our growth and development. It is interesting that the egotistical part of the mind is willing to sacrifice the whole remainder of a person for its own sake. Rather than admit to being wrong, people will literally give up the life of the body itself and sacrifice any aspect of life on the altar of pride. Male pride about those programs that our society considers masculine blocks the emotional and psychological inner development of most men in our society. Some women are now joining the ranks of chauvinism, which only compounds the problem and intensifies the battle of the sexes. Vulnerability of pride. The prideful person is constantly on the defensive because of the vulnerability of inflation and denial. Conversely, the humble person cannot be humiliated, for they are immune to vulnerability, having let go of pride. In its place, they have an inner security and self-esteem. Many people try to substitute pride for genuine self-esteem. However, genuine self-esteem does not actually arise until pride is relinquished. That which inflates the ego does not result in inner strength. On the contrary, it increases our vulnerability and overall level of fear. When we are in a state of pride, our energy is dissipated by the constant preoccupation with defending our lifestyle, vocation, neighborhood, clothes, year and make of car, ancestry, country, and political and religious belief systems. There is a tireless preoccupation with appearance and what other people will think, so there is a constant vulnerability to the opinions of others. When pride and self-inflation have been relinquished, there is an inner security that takes their place. When we no longer feel called upon to defend our image, criticisms and attacks from others diminish and finally stop. When we let go of our need for validation or to prove ourselves right, then the challenges against us fall away. This brings us to one of the basic laws of consciousness. Defensiveness invites attack. An examination of the nature of pride facilitates the letting go of it, as it is no longer valued. It is seen for what it is, in truth, weak. The dictum, pride goeth before a fall, prevails. Pride is thin ice, a poor substitute for that rock-like real strength that comes from courage, acceptance, or peace. Is there such a thing as healthy pride? When we talk of a healthy pride, we are referring to self-esteem, an inner awareness of one's true value and worth. This inner awareness is different from the energy of pride. Self-awareness of one's true value is characterized by a lack of defensiveness. Once we have consciously contacted the truth of our real beingness, the nature of our inner self with all of its true innocence, greatness, and nobility of the human spirit, we no longer need pride. We just know what we are, and this self-knowledge is sufficient for us. That which we truly know never needs defense and is different from the energy of pride that we are discussing in this chapter. Let's look at some of the kinds of pride with which we have been programmed and see how they bear up under examination. Pride of family, pride of country, and pride of accomplishment are typical examples that come to mind. Is pride really the loftiest of human emotions? The very fact that it is characterized by defensiveness proves otherwise. When we have pride in our possessions or in some organizations with which we identify, we feel obligated to defend them. Pride in our ideas and our opinions leads to endless arguments, conflict, and woe. A higher feeling state than pride is that of love. If we love all of the things noted above, family, country, accomplishments, that means there is no question of their worth in our mind. We no longer have to be on the defensive. When true recognition and knowledge replaces opinion, which is part of pride, there is no room for argument. Our sheer love and appreciation for something is a solid position that cannot be assailed. Pride, because it is a vulnerable position, always implies that somewhere there is a doubt that needs to be cleared up and that the opponent quickly centers on that doubt. When all doubts have been removed, opinions and pride disappear. There is a subtle inference of apology in pride, as though the thing in itself was not good enough to stand on its own merit. That which is worthy of our love and respect hardly needs an apologist. Pride infers subtly that there is room for debate and that the worth of something is open to question. When we truly love something and thereby become one with it, it is because we see intrinsic perfection. In fact, its faults are part and parcel of its perfection, for all that we see in the universe is in the process of becoming. In that process, its perfect evolution is part of that perfection. Thus, the half-unfolded flower is not an imperfect flower that needs defense. On the contrary, its blossoming is proceeding with precise perfection according to the laws of the universe. Likewise, each and every individual on the planet is unfolding, growing, learning, and reflecting that same perfection. We might say that the unfoldment of the evolutionary process is proceeding precisely according to cosmic laws. One of the drawbacks about the position of pride, as we have said, is its vulnerability. Vulnerability then invites attack. Therefore, in society, we witness that prideful people draw criticism, and their vulnerability is what accounts for the saying, "Pride goeth before a fall." In the biblical account, it was Lucifer's pride that was his Achilles' heel, despite the great standing that he had acquired. And so, yeah. This was a very good chapter. It is a comical curiosity of the human mind to watch how it attaches pride to anything that is prefixed by the word mine. We can have absurd pride over the most trivial things, and once we see the comedy of that, it is not too difficult to let go of the pride involved. Some people, ironically, have the vulnerability of reverse snobbery. They take pride in bargains and thrift store conquests. Their personal opinion of people who pay excessive prices for things is that they are sheep to be sheared, and they rehearse the quote, "A fool is soon parted from his money." In this thrift store snobbery crowd, the status symbol is the incredible bargain. In fact, they are often in competition with each other to see who will find the best bargains. It is funny to observe that an article of clothing hanging in a thrift shop has no value at all until it becomes mine. Instantly, great value is attached to it. The difficult side of prefixing things with the word mine is the pride that goes with the sense of ownership. This makes us feel called upon to defend everything we label as mine. We can reduce our vulnerability by letting go of the desire to possess. Instead of saying mine, we can use the word a. Not my shirt, but a shirt. Thus, we will notice that if we view one of our thoughts as an opinion instead of my opinion, the feeling tone changes. Why do people get so hot under the collar about their opinions? Is it just because of that sense of mine? If opinions are viewed instead of only as an opinion, then there is no longer the vulnerability to prideful anger. So opinions. If we look at opinions, we will see that they are a dime a dozen. Everybody on the street has thousands of opinions on thousands of subjects, and their opinions change from moment to moment and are vulnerable to every passing whim of fashion, propaganda, and faddism. Today's in opinion is tomorrow's out opinion. This morning's opinion is passé by afternoon. We can ask ourselves, do I want to spread out my vulnerability? Do I want to spread out my vulnerability to attack by so extensively identifying with all of these passing thoughts and calling them mine? Everybody has an opinion on everything. So what? When we look at the true quality of opinions, we will stop giving them as much value. If we look back on our life, we will see that every mistake we ever made was based on an opinion. We become much less vulnerable if we put our thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, which are all opinions, into a different context. We can view them as ideas that we like or dislike. Some thoughts give us pleasure, and so we like them. Just because we like them today doesn't mean we have to go to war over them. We like a concept so long as it serves us and we are getting enjoyment out of it. Of course, we discard it quite readily when it is no longer a source of pleasure. When we look at our opinions, we will see that it is primarily our emotions that are giving them any value in the first place. Instead of feeling pride about our thoughts, what is wrong with just loving them? Why not just love a certain concept because of its beauty, because of its inspirational quality, or because of its serviceability? If we view our thoughts that way, we no longer need the pride of being right. If we hold the same view of our likes and dislikes, we are no longer prone to argumentativeness. For instance, if we love the music of a certain composer, we no longer need to defend it. We might hope that our companion would also love it, but if not, the worst that we can feel is mild disappointment at not being able to share something that we personally value and enjoy. If we try this, we will find that people no longer attack our likes and dislikes and concepts. Instead of defensiveness, what they are getting from us now is appreciation. They understand that we appreciate certain things, and that is why we think the way that we do. But they will no longer criticize or attack us. The worst we will get is perhaps a kidding or a quizzical attitude. Where pride is absent, attack is also absent. This is also very valuable in those areas such as politics and religion, which are so historically prone to illicit argument that they are tactically bypassed in polite society. We will find that if we love our religion, whatever it might be, no one will attack us. If we are prideful, however, we will have to avoid the entire subject because anger will quickly arise as the byproduct of our pride, or of the pride. When we truly value something, we lift it aloft out of the demeaning target range of argument. That which we truly cherish and revere is protected by our own reverence. If we tell somebody that we do something because we get enjoyment out of it, there is really nothing much they can say about it, is there? If we infer that we do it because we are right in doing it, we will instantly see their hackles go up because they also have an opinion on what is right. Our values are preferences. We hold them because we love them, enjoy them, and get pleasure from them. If we hold them in that context, we will be left in peace to enjoy them. The reason that pride arouses attack is because of the inference of being better than, which is part and parcel of pride. We see many people with dietary regimens about which they are prideful. Consequently, they are in constant arguments over the rightness of their dietary regimens and nutritional opinions. They even try to impose their regimens on family members and friends, touting the moral or health superiority of their dietary practice. In contrast, there are people who follow the same regimens because they enjoy doing so, because it makes them feel better, or because it fulfills certain spiritual disciplines. Consequently, they are never heard to be in argument because they have nothing to defend. If someone tells us that they eat the way they eat because they enjoy it, there is nothing much we can say about it, is there? If, on the other hand, they infer that theirs is the right way of eating, and by inference that ours is wrong, What they are really saying is that they are better than we are. That always arouses resentment. If we don't take a prideful stance about our opinions, then we are at liberty to change them. How often have we gotten stuck in performing something we really didn't want to do because we had foolishly taken a prideful stance on an opinion? Very often we would like to have changed our mind or the direction in which we were going, but we got ourselves boxed in by having taken a prideful position. That brings up one of the resistances to surrendering pride, and that is pride itself. In the prideful position, one of the underlying problems is fear. When we fear that if we change our position in a certain matter, the opinion of others about us will be adversely affected. One reason for the need for humility about our opinions is because our opinions change as we get deeper and deeper into any given subject or situation. What seems to be so upon superficial examination often turns out to be quite different when we really get into it. This, of course, is to the dismay of the politician who makes promises based on fantasies of what is possible. But as he assumes power, he finds that matters are quite different than he had thought. The problems are far more complex. The situation is really due to the net effect of many powerful forces in society. All that politicians can truly promise us is that they will use the best possible judgment for the good of all as they get deeper into each matter. This evolutionary aspect of life is really all that any of us can promise ourselves, and this self-knowledge will protect us from disillusionment. This is the safety of the open mind position, or what is called beginner's mind in Zen practice. When we are open-minded, we are admitting that we are not in possession of all the facts, and we are ready to change our opinions as the situation unfolds. In this way, we do not box ourselves into the pain of defending lost causes. This is very true even in our areas we think are based on strictly factual and observable data, such as the field of science. Actually, science deals with hypotheses, and scientific opinion is constantly in the process of flux and change. Scientific opinion, much to the surprise of laypersons, is also subject to fads, passing popularity, paradigm blindness, and political pressure. For instance, in the field of psychiatry, the subject of the relationship between nutrition, blood chemistry, brain function, and mental illness was not popular in the past. The scientists and clinicians who worked in this area found themselves in the out group. As time passed and it proved that there was a value in this field of investigation, popular scientific opinion changed. Important discoveries were made and whole industries came into being to provide products which utilized the basic findings of the relationship between nutrition and brain function. The subject is now accepted as respectable, so clinicians and scientists can do research in that area and be accepted as part of the in-group. Pride, therefore, is also responsible for holding up scientific progress. Pride blinds us to many things that would be profoundly beneficial to a prideful mind. To accept them would be inferring that we are wrong. The more inwardly powerful we really are, the more flexible we become, so that we are open to all that is beneficial. Pride prevents us from seeing that which is totally obvious. People die by the thousands because of pride. They literally give up their health and life itself. Addicts and alcoholics will go to their death because of the denial inherent in pride. Other people have the problem, not me. Pride prevents us from recognizing our own limitations and accepting the help we need to overcome them. Our pridefulness isolates us. When we let go of pride, help comes into our life to address the problems with which we are struggling. We can experiment and prove the truth of that principle by picking one area in which we are having difficulty and thoroughly surrendering all the pride involved. When we do that, some surprising things begin to happen. Letting go of pride unlocks the door to our receiving that which is most beneficial to us. Are we willing to let go of pride and feeling superior to others? When we are willing to let go of the pseudo-security of pride, we experience the real security that comes with courage, self-acceptance, and joy. And so, that's the end of that chapter on pride, of letting go, the pathway of surrender, David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. So, I thought that was pretty perfect for my inquiry, my self-inquiry, and I just flipped open this book to pride. I'm like, there you go. And so, yeah, that was coming up for me this week. I noticed in certain ways That's why, yeah, it kind of got me on that train. It was like, yeah, what is it about pride and vanity and about self righteousness and all of that that keeps us locked in our minds? And, sometimes it does. And yeah, it's self made suffering, our self made suffering there. It's a lot of it has to do with, yeah, the pride that we hold on to and the self-righteousness and the identity or the story that we cling to. And yeah, through these old beliefs, these belief systems that were separate, and that yeah, that we're not part of, yeah, everything. And so it's kind of interesting in a lot of ways, yeah, how like we trip ourselves up and we fool ourselves. But yeah, I was just kind of thinking about some things like as I've been processing and integrating and assimilating certain things um, that I have seen and that I've experienced and I've been working with and playing with through my alchemy. And yeah, just looking at some of the things that have been falling away and dissolving. And sometimes, yeah, the momentum and the energy that's been going for a long time wants to keep going because there's that pattern there that's created the form of it. And it's just interesting, like how sometimes it will come back up before it completely dissolves or transforms itself. Yeah, just for one last hurrah, just yeah. And there's like it comes in the forms of pop quizzes sometimes, or like in little hooks that can hook our attention, and certain things like that, like an old thought, an old belief, an old opinion, yeah, or something that we've been attached to that relates to the role that we're playing or the role we're attached to, and yeah, things like that. Who we see ourselves as, um, how we have seen ourselves, yeah, in certain ways, and like that identity or that small self and that image, that self image. And so yeah, I was looking at some things like just yeah, maybe it was my ego like trying to make sense of certain things in certain ways. And as I was thinking about some of these old relationships that are like falling away and I'm letting go of, there was like a certain need to, in a way, like I observed it coming in, like just the awareness of it. Um, that I was, yeah, there was an attempt of my small self, of my little image, to make the other person wrong, to justify, yeah, to justify my own like reasons or whatnot. But I knew, like, in a way, it was like total mythology. And so I just kind of watched it and was like, oh, that's interesting. Wonder what that's about, kind of a thing. And then, like, yeah, looking into it a little more, just kind of like surrendering it and letting it go and being willing to see what I needed to see about it. And it's just like, oh, okay. I don't need to make the other person wrong. And I don't need to make myself right about this. Like, I know what I need and what's right for me. And I know, like, yeah, what I'm choosing for me. And I know that it's choosing love and it's the power, yeah, that I have to choose this love for me and we. And so, yeah, it was just interesting how it came up. And in certain ways, when like nothing has really been bothering me about it, it's just like certain energy isn't going in that direction anymore. And it's like coming up to be seen, like um, to either like try to reinforce itself, like this energy at play, or um, to go in another way, to be redirected in another way. So just get to use discernment with that and pay attention to what's, yeah, coming up and being asked. And yeah, just kind of the cosmic monkey at play. And so sometimes the monkey keeps us on our toes. And yeah, can keep us chasing our tails sometimes. So yeah, that's why it's good to observe and let go. Yeah, letting go, letting go, letting go. I I observe letting go. I observe letting go. So I just wanted to offer some of those reminders, and yeah, just express that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to change. And we're the only ones that can change ourselves and that can change our own minds. You know, like obviously there's, yeah, certain mechanisms and, conditions that can manipulate and influence us, but ultimately we're the ones that have the power to choose, and we can become consciously aware of what we are choosing and what we're creating. Are we choosing peace? Are we creating peace? Is it really peace that we want? Is that what we want? Is that what we really want? Is peace? Or do we want to be superior? Or do we want to be right? You know, and so, yeah, some good things to look at, and yeah, to ask for guidance on, and to ask for the answers and the wisdom that we all have within us. Like we all have those answers and the wisdom that we need to help us navigate through these times of great change and transformation. And so I hope all of you have a happy new moon and you manifest good things for you, and things that you love and enjoy and appreciate, and that, yeah, give you that real sense of esteem, self-esteem, that true inner pride that we have for our lives and for who we really are. Yeah. So with that, I'd like to close and just give one more reminder that you shine with the purity of 1,000 suns. And remember, like that inner sun, remember that love and that light that can come through and forth from within. And a reminder from the unicorns. I am a miraculous being. The endless potential of life surges through me. I rejoice in everything the universe has taught me today. Thank you, universe. The world is a beautiful place. If you choose to see it, choose to see it. I am content. I am peaceful. I know I am. So, love and blessings. Be well. Be love for yourself. Take care.